need to. Is graph or graph? It's like graph, or how to spell graph? In a celestial graph? Okay, thank you.
All right. Yeah, this is what happens when you get into the pyramids, guys. It's a good thing I got phone reception line streams. So whatever you missed, you can watch back, really, in that position location direct settings. So anyway, you guys are in that set locations. That's why I took you out, because there's a lot of static interference. See, this is where you have to really start controlling the mindset, right? So when you go into the Millennium Core, this gives you a better position line directions to really understand the recognition of time. The sequence location is high center interference. I showed you the platitude division locations when you come into your pyramid sets, how to come into your crop circles, right? So as we continue to all communication setting, all right, that's in support locations when you come into your 7 line settings. So we start with this line setting rotation, okay? Zero gravity and number sequence locations. So you're using yourself to create the geometry operation of directions through its pyramid, okay? So the central communication line center high positions its direct line setting. Now true to stand all levels. Blocking line settings into 11 and position locations of 9 and position locations of 8, right? So you're in position location of travel, the 3 settings. Setting calculation streamlines is all position locations into 3, 2, and 1 into a film straight line setting. Okay, so you come into 4, okay, in set location of 7, and you basically come into line settings into 11 to set location, right? So you have to learn how to set up a center graph setting. And this is the central communications to a center core line that puts position locations all levels. So you can take 3 into 12 into a half byte calculation, right? So you have to understand the pyramid inside is nothing but a graph of information of you. Tower of communication is extremely powerful. How you can wave set location of 6 line settings in position location of 2 line settings of security, which is the ground setting rotations, into an upside down triangle. Center communication line centers of 3 or line conditions of 6 is a upside triangle locations. High calculations to higher position locations into all levels of travel positions to your calculations to is core line setting in recognition of timelines in your position locations and high line position track settings into your tesseract location. Okay? So there's a center core of a tesseract that's in every pyramid of its own pie. Okay? But the recognition line setting is truly how to set up location into number sequence locations of patterns. Okay, so it's very powerful when you come into that location, all right? So there's many different ways to create pyramids through its own pie, right? Let's say you go into central communication setting and you get to 3 pi communications, flux capacitor, right? So sets position of center, sets position location of past, and position location of its future, right? So in set locations, center is communication of its presence, okay? Future is its position location, which is all levels of unknown, right? And the past is all line position of its reference, okay? So you have to learn how to use it through its own yin and yang. The process of communicating is all levels into set locations when it comes into all positions to its ground setting in rotation. Now, sending communications into satellite set locations is all levels of higher travel communication. Setting communications center calculation setting into a rotation setting in high line rotations, into a spherical line rotation, into an atom set in the dimensional line of its position. Okay? So, catching on of what's happening with you is all levels of travel. The mechanisms of high calculation streams is all levels of view, how to get in the provision locations to its calculation of its pyramid. Okay, the pyramid is position of your direct locations and how you see your space of time through pi. Once you get in center locations, this is you. That's you in the center, right? All right, so you're crossing this way in set location, okay? And the pyramid's here in position. Okay, pyramid's here in position. Pyramid's here in position. So your 3 line settings, right? So you're seeing it through a positions of a diamond core. Okay, like a baseball diamond. First base, second base, third base, home plate. Crossover, 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 crossover. Silicon rotation setting, crop circle. Correlations high setting and high interference, a higher communication of pyramid setting. That's you inside the pyramid of your locations of your center generation light settings into the ground locations, into the magnetic high information line center to 2 panels of space and time. Okay? So to recognize these things is to truly understand the position of your thoughts. You have film strips locations into audio signals. This is the input and audio output locations. So the position of the moon sets line position location all levels into one setting. Comes in line position locations and all levels to its own calculation. Center calculations is the center line position. Opens all track to its ground setting rotation. Inline center rotations to all levels of position locations to its rainbow graph stream setting. Setting communication is extremely important, but you have to understand how it travels through the line setting into all communications when you're in the future position of your system. So getting in holograph line setting, you have your position locations into 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Okay? Now, all this is set up position location of 0 gravity. Okay? 1 position location is your ground setting. 2 position location is your security setting. 3 position location is your sacro, which is 2 rotation circles. Setting calculations of 4 is your solar generation light setting. Setting calculations to your 5 is your heart recognition line rotation. 6 is position location to all levels of your throat pattern. And 7 is location of your theta setting. And 8 is your infinity of cycle line and high rotation set location. Okay, that's just all through 8 settings. So what you're doing is you're co-creating this. The graph streams and the calculation set lines is truly saying how to see yourself in all position location of directions, right? This helps you and always informs how you see things in its clarity, in its focus, in all levels of your commanding setting to your tracker locations, right? This is the basic understanding. When you have an earth line rotations, you have the grounds, you have the centers, and you have a magnetic highway. Its position location to its box location that has its data stream sets locations and the levels, higher communication setting. All levels of solar generation light setting. And position locations to its panels calculation setting. High rotations to all levels of rainbow graph stream setting location. Right? So what is the rainbow graph stream? 9. You use it through locations, right? So you're using a synergy energy wash line setting in high rotation interference, solar generation light stream in high rotation interference location calculations. Your number sequence locations comes through a videograph line, sets and position location calculations, right? So getting in position line directions, let's go into channel operator streamline again to the earth line. Let's just go into this position. Okay? Let's just go into this position. Let's just go into this position. Let's just go into this position. Okay? So you have to understand how this is all set up inside location, right? So it has a graph line, has a stream line, has a rotation line, and it has a box interference. 4 position line directions, right? Crossing signals, right over left, left over right. Setting calculations to 1 box screen line in set locations. Comes into a 45 line setting into graph line position. Opens all track lines in position locations, crisscross line conditions, coming in position locations of all levels of solar generation light streams in high setting, putting your position locations into your magnetic highway information setting to a 0 new ground location. Okay? So I want you to really recognize what your 12 is in all levels. What does 0 mean? What does 1 mean? What does 2 mean? What does 3 mean? What does 4 mean? What does 5 mean? What does 6 mean? 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. What does this all mean to you? Right? What does it mean? Once you understand what it means, it comes into the center calculation, which is the top point. Comes into the middle point, comes into the bottom line setting. You got your video graph line rotations. You got your center communication string lines. You got your alpha channel operation signals. You got your communications to your beta theta system. You got your operation signal gamma settings, radiation cycles, high center interference, and direct locations. Coming in wave central communications to your pyramid system. Okay? So you really have to recognize how these things work inside your Schumann resonance. Schumann resonance is all the location of video graph lines, all right? Rotation, spin cycles, high generous light streams, setting communication levels. So that's one graph line. That's one line signal. That's zero gravity. And that's beneath line setting. So beneath, equaline conditions of 0. Okay, 0 gravity, set locations, into levels. So 0 gravity goes into 1, set location. Graph line center goes up to higher line position to its graph line center, location 2, it's pi position location calculation setting. Now the pi comes in that line center locations. Let's say it's in a 12 line signal, and position locations 12 equals 9 equals all in position of its time frame. Time frame comes into all position locations to its window. Window comes into all position line settings into its computer. See the computer? Then you get position locations to your keyboards and set locations. All right? 72 line settings comes to higher line position location, the box center, into 0 gravity line rotations, into higher communications, into 144 of sonar division. Okay? But if you look really, really close, you can see your pyramid at the top of the point, the bird's eye looking down. All right? Recognizing these line streams is really recognizing you in all time frame. Your position line direction is to understand how to use all calculations to its set location. Rainbow wash from my system. Yeah. So again, you have to learn how to set a circle, how to understand this is a rainbow wash. Okay, that's a rainbow wash, right? This is a graph crossing over. Okay. So center calculations, each one has a waving system. Okay, each one has to because it's connected to your body. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, those are the waves. The central communication line setter is 7 equaline conditions to your earth, equaline conditions to your perception. Okay, centers is communication cycle. The cyclone division line center rotates its cycles, and when it comes to the higher communication and program settings, this opens all communications to your line center interference. Setting position of directions sets the opposite cycle and high generation light settings. Right? Coming in a full calculation of a holographic line setting to your structure setting. Okay? To know the structure of you is to understand the position directions of you through your 7 lines of communication. Right? You have to understand the waving cycles, the waving perceptions, high generation light settings, all position of your direction. Okay? 7 bodies of water. That's exactly what it is. 7 bodies of water. Okay, and that's what you guys are coming into. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 7 bodies of water of you. Each one has a video graph line, starting with a 0, okay? 0 graph line setting up in position locations in line of 3, right? So it's a number sequence. Voice and grid line settings. 3 line position of 2, 2 position location of 1, 1 position location of 0, right? So the track interference is 0, okay? You bracket 0, in position of all line positions of 3, in position location of 2, in position of 1 and 0. There it is. Okay? 0, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay? So that puts you in a position line directions. It's the wave. There's so many different wave settings, all right? But this comes into all line center locations. So this line connects to its alpha channel. Okay, this is an alpha wave set location of 0 graded setting, all right? So it's all levels of your voice grid settings, all right? So if you change position emotional track locations, you go into 0, you go into 4, because it's a higher line. You see this change, right, over time. Setting position locations into 4, setting position locations into 3, setting position locations into 2 line setting. Sets communications into levels of 4 is set locations, into another 4 set locations, into cross signals and high center interference, cross signals, location, position line centers, and position of center correlates and high center interference, 2 panels of communication set line, high line rotation settings, indirect locations to a center operations, and set location of 4, 3 line setting. Okay. Now, if you look really, really close, you can see your pyramid in set location. And 4 channels of operation. There's your pyramid. Right there. Setting up 4 central line waves in communication of 3 settings. And then you set up the position of 4 and your film strip locations into its pyramid setting. Okay? That's how pyramids are created, through waves, through your central system. So you get a better understanding when you get into levels, high settings. It's very powerful when you start to see the recognition how it's all created through you, through all calculations through pi, right? So pyramid equals pi. These calculations to the moon, this calculation to the sun. Okay, so the moon sets location and the sun comes into higher line setting to moon position location of directions, right? Center calculations, crosses signals and high center interference, comes in position location to all levels of a new pyramid setting. Okay, so you really have to recognize the light codes and set location to the sun and the emotional track setting locations to its moon setting. And then you have your center graph center locations, which is your alignment of your solar graph lines into your position locations in all levels of your DNA. DNA rotation setting high interference position locations opens all track setting into one way in an opposite way direct locations into your tracker settings. These are your tracker settings as emotional set locations, right? This is how your body is set up in this location to a setting. All right? And if you look really close, you can see your pyramid set location right here. And 4 lines of streams in the location setting. There's the pyramid. See? So you're creating within through your tracker line center rotation. Very complicated stuff. But once you understand the mechanisms of your 7 lines, this opens all communication to set line interference in set locations. All right? So, yeah, it's extremely complex. But the complexity is to understand how it grounds your setting. And you have to really understand the 0 of position location of H2O calculations. Setting communications all levels, hydrosphere line setting. Hydro. Okay, you go with line setting. Okay, you go connections all levels into measure equations of its energy lines, equaling connections of its mass, which volumes its position to its velocity of its acceleration in position locations of Mach in set locations, to its formula of set locations into all levels of phi setting. There's always a formula. Okay? So understanding the calculations to the hieroglyphic line setting and rotation surface and position levels and double helix line setting and position line directions. One goes one way, one goes the other way. What do you have? Set locations. What do you have in a central location? What do you have in a center location? What do you have in a center location? What do you have in a center location? A pyramid. See? Through pi. Right? There's so many different ways to create all lines of communications in a double helix, how it becomes its own pyramid setting. Once it comes to this pyramid setting, it has its own flux capacitor set location. But the zero gravity sets lines of communication to two panels of space and time. So you're always in this line communication. So you're always in this, okay? Like I said, directors are always in this. It's always this part. Everything else doesn't matter. This is what you focus on in the center core line setting. So it's very exciting when you understand how pyramids are made through your thought representation of space and time, through its own mindset. The center gravity is the center operation. Every pyramid of pi has its own correlation in its position of its direction. So walking steps to higher communication, pyramid, into rotations to all levels, into all line setting in electrical light connection. Travel position locations to the moon and position locations to the sun sets all communications. Center calculations, all levels to the moon setting, and set location, set line interference, and set location, right? So the pyramid becomes its own walkway of its own existence of its own set location. All right. So it's really recognizing these things, guys, how it works all levels of you through 12 DNA. It's very powerful when you start recognizing all calculations to your sets. Okay, that's where it comes into all set locations. If you get a number channel of 1 in position of 2, 3, 4 in the center communications, pyramid right here in position line directions, 4 sets in line setting, 4 sets in rotation setting, 4 sets in center location into high division location and star line setting. Setting in grounds in set location, setting communications all levels in set location, setting laser lights in communications all line setting. Comes into all levels of communication, higher channels of operation. Setting ground lines and rotation higher communication settings and high center interference. Setting co-locations to all levels of channel operation of circle location settings. See, you have to really recognize what a pyramid is through its own pi. The correlation is 12 line setting. Each line conditions on all levels of 24. 24 line center comes into 48. Right? Now 48 comes into 72. Center calculations and set location is 144. Okay? So you have to recognize the timelines of 12 is center, zero gravity location, flux capacitors at 0, line is a 12. 12 line center is 12 times 12 equals position location line settings. Don't forget the XT1000 there, set location. That's 144. That's 144 set locations. Sets. So your sun and your moon is going 144 equal-line conditions to bracket the 3 zero-line settings into 144 equal-line capacitor million sets. 144 million miles per second. Okay? So the sun and the moon has to go faster than you. Okay? The correlation and its bounce line setting is what you're using through your 12s, through your 24s, your 48s, and your 72 locations. This comes into your pyramid of activation. So there's a lot of communications of confusion if you don't understand how to set these things up. This helps you in all ways and forms when you get modified in set location settings, all right? Stepping forward into pyramid formation, 777, yep, you can do that line setting rotations. Remember, it's all levels. You're using your high setting locations to your inhibitors, right, of past, present, and its future locations, right? So you come into that set locations, all right? That's all line signal, okay? Past, present, and future. Now the past is its reference line, the present is its center line, and the future is the unknown line setting, which is phenomenal. So these are set locations into six DOS line center 66 sets position locations all levels, center calculations, right? Opens all track setting, right? So when you come into that line setting, you crisscross line settings and rotations, and the opposite cycle comes into a graph line. Center calculations comes into a position line of track locations into your future operation setting in operation all levels of gravity rotation set locations. Okay? So you have to really recognize these time frames and how it works for all levels of you through track location. Okay, this is going to help you in all ways and forms understand the activations to each chakra through its representation, because it's all connected to a hologram setting. Okay. So when you get into that line, you come into all calculations to its time frame, to its month, and to its year. Time, month, and year. Time persists its set locations of the now. The month sets line setting in positions of calculations of its day, and the year sets line positions to your flux capacitor of set locations into the center, into its presence of its future operation of its yin and yang process calculation. Okay. Time, month, and year. Okay. The time that exists is the circle line communication. The month is position of its direct line setting, and the year is calculations to all set locations of where you are going through its air. Okay? It's air. The era you're going. Okay? So, yeah, of your future operation line settings, guys. You just have to really recognize these things. So there's a lot to take in, set locations, right? So 777 is time, month, and year. Past, present, future. Okay? Orion's belt. So when you get into that position line settings, you understand the zero gravity, the center calculations to all levels of magnetic highway. And that's all it is in 2 panels in centered locations into solar line setting in high interference into your data stream line position locations in all levels of your chakra setting locations. That's all it's doing every day. Okay? All through your DNA. Cool. So it's started to recognize the importance of your DNA and how it works through you through circulation and rotation. The circulatory line setting has to understand the elliptical line conditions, take you guys to the organic setting. You guys have to come into the elliptical line interference, put you guys into the meta universe locations, all through your 12 DNA tracks. Okay? Over factor over pi. Yep, that's right, Jill. That's exactly what it is. As long as you stay in the center operation, always use past as a reference, because the thing is, when you go into higher levels of acceleration, you're changing your position, location of direction. So it's important you understand the higher you go, the more you stay centered. Okay? Censorship. The center line communication setting. The TV box reception line communication, right? So you're centering your ship of teleportation to allocate to hind lines in rotation to its future setting location of your avatar. Okay? It's very powerful when you come to that locations, all through your DNA set, through your 12 DNA location. So, yeah, it's a beautiful thing. So you guys have the weekend to do your test, and Monday we will get in position line directions. All right. Don't get into anything through hesitation or anything through anticipation. It's important you understand these things because life is full of distractions. Okay. Censorship. Yep. Yep. Censorship of views of all operation in your future calculation stream sites to your avatar. All right. Okay. So that was a good class. No class tomorrow. It's Sunday, familiar day. Other than that, get ready. I'll be on TikTok for a while, but in set locations, but no school tomorrow. Test Monday. Adios.